As one of the most well-known forms of arts and culture in the world, batik has become a national identity of Indonesia. Batik clothing and fabric have existed since ancient Javanese time and are commonly used by Indonesians in various ceremonial occasions and even in daily life. Traditionally, batik is made either by drawing dots and lines of wax resist dyes with a spotted tool called Canthing, or by printing the resist with a copper stamp called cap. However, the majority of today's Indonesian batik industry hardly uses the same method in producing batik clothing, simply because of time management and efficiency factor. Instead of the old ways of using canting and cap, these factories would print the batik patterns onto fabric using machinery and electronic devices, which are common in other confection industries. The development of batik in this sense creates an ambiguous understanding on whether the term refers to the traditional method of production or the pattern on the fabric. These kinds of variations in producing batik have become more tangible to be seen in a small village in Sukoharjo, Central Java, called Desa Bekonang. In the village, the batik industry has become one of the most common livelihood practices for the people. Small and medium enterprises built from the artisans community in the village has become the most common type of businesses running the batik industry. The debate on deciding whether batik is the term referring to the methods of production or the pattern on the fabric itself might seem trivial at first glance, but it has become a really important factor while considering batik as trading goods. If one considers batik as the traditional production method, then the motifs and pattern printed on the fabric would not be a characteristic of the batik itself. As a result, companies and other businesses from other regions or even foreign countries would be able to produce similar patterns and motifs without any problem. This particular issue creates an unfair situation for any business practitioners, simply because there are no regulations regarding the originality of a product, while the extent to which of a similarity of a product should be tolerated remains unclear. As a matter of fact, this event has happened internationally. Setting aside the rumors that existed, the issue of IPR, intellectual property rights, has triggered an intense debate that harms the relation between Indonesia and our neighbor, Malaysia, regarding the ownership of batik origins. Furthermore, if one agrees that the term batik itself refers to the pattern on the fabric or clothing, regardless of the methods of production, then it would create a disparity between the traditional makers and the modern ones. The traditional makers of the batik industries are in fact significantly smaller in terms of sheer size and production, in addition to years of skill training that each worker should enter before becoming the artisans. On the other hand, the modern industry could easily rely on technological advancement and swift capital flows. In simply put, considering both ends as singular producers of the product batik is more likely to cause problems, while setting aside the harmful outcomes other parties might face. This is where intellectual property rights or IPR plays an important role. IPR provides copyright protection that every creative industry needs in order to preserve the product's originality, foster innovation, and prevent malicious practices from one business to another. And Batik is no exception from that. Internationally, IPR has been covered in the legal framework of trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights, or TRIPS, established by the World Trade Organization (WTO). As Indonesia has become a member of the WTO since 1995, the government has established several regulations regarding IPR, conforming to the TRIPS. Amongst many, there are two particular regulations that specifically cover the issue of batik, namely the 2002 Copyright Act No. 10, Paragraph 2, and the 1997 Government Regulations No. 12. The 2002 Copyright Act No. 10, Paragraph 2 states that state upholds the copyright for folk-grown and other forms of collective cultural activities, which includes saga, fairy tales, legends, songs, crafts, choreography, dance, calligraphy, and other works of art. This has become a fundamental framework to preserve the existence of traditional batik. In addition to that, traditional batik has also been included in traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expression, or in bahasa, pengetahuan tradisional dan ekspresi budaya tradisional (PTEBT). According to such a term, batik could be defined as the motifs or pattern, methods of production, and the use of canthing, which set the difference with similar cultures from other countries. The 1997 Government Regulations No. 12, on the other hand, was established as an effort to accommodate the development of modern batik, as the nature of the batik itself could also be understood as creation of art and the expressions of one's creativity. The existence of contemporary form of batik is preserved under such a framework. Modern batik method of production, referring to the machinery and technological advancement, is also protected under the Copyright Act through patent registration. At this point of explanation, many might wonder what is the direct importance or implications of the IPR for the batik businesses, especially in Desa Bekonang. Well, for many years, the batik industry in Desa Bekonang has been predominantly filled with many kinds of batik artisans, coming from either the traditional or the modern ones. Batik has become such an important industry for the village, other than the gamelan, genting, or alcohol industry. The batik produced in Desa Bekonang has its own uniqueness and delicacy. Through every motif and pattern painted on the fabric, it reminisces about the life in the village itself. From the everyday life of the farmers working in the paddy field to the glorious symbolism of the keraton as the local ruler, Desa Bekonang's batik has become a one-of-a-kind form of local culture. It has, ever since the village was established, become an integral part, not just a source of livelihood for the people, but as a part of Desa Bekonang's identity as well. Thus, the regulations regarding the IPR could facilitate the industry to sustain itself, or even to advance further in innovating new ideas for its improvement. It provides all the business stakeholders an international grade guideline to simply do their businesses, while at the same time protecting every party from any harmful practices. The aforementioned framework has the capability to preserve Desa Bekonang's original batik materials, colors, patterns and methods of productions for every businesses in the village. Therefore, it is important to consider the use of IPR in the practices of the batik industry in the village to preserve the culture and create a fair ground for the industry to further develop in the future. Thanks for watching this video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video or dislike if you find it unpleasant. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this in the future and other activities would set for our community service program. Thank you and have a wonderful day.